All right, we're continuing to look at the uh, Diplomat Magnum. Magnum. The Diplomat Magnum pen just came in today. And you can see I have already filled, lighting's really weird in here. I've already filled this with a J. Herbin purple ink, violet ink. So this one came with, in the box, it came with a cartridge. So I could have plugged it in. It was probably a black ink. But instead what I did is it also came with a converter. Now this is a plastic converter. You can kind of see the plastic right there where some air's in it. And what you do is you can just dip the tip of the pen in the ink bottle and suck it up. Now what I like to do is I like to use these things and I'll put the ink from the bottle into here so that I'm not contaminating my source ink ever. And you're going to watch me lie on that in just a second, I think. So this one's already been filled. We put this one on par with the, this is the, we'll do it over here. This is, what did I call this one? The Diplomat. This is a Diplomat. My handwriting's horrible, sorry. Magnum. And we're using a J. Herbin violet with an extra fine nib. So, and you'll see pen people do this thing. If it was a broad nib or a 1.1 or something, you'd see more variation in the lines as you made this funny little symbol. Writes good, feels good. Like I said, I'm going to put this on par with any other $25, $30 price point pen. You know, that's the Lamy Safari. And it's got a fine nib on it, and this is using Noodler's Legal Blue. So to refill this one, this is the one I said you're going to watch me lie about. I think I actually have one over here. Hang on. No, I don't. Because I'm only using Legal Blue in this, I have taken the actual Legal Blue bottle. Now you're going to see every pen person is going to have one of these. A nice soft rag or napkin that's been used over the years. And again, with a converter, all you have to do is take the pen, open it up. Oh wait, this one doesn't need refilling. What in the world? Let's not do that. I don't know why I thought that pen needed filling. That's the Noodler's Legal Blue. And the other thing that happens is you'll get ink all over your hands doing this kind of stuff. So that one's full. Sometimes we fill pens with these things. It's a blunt tip syringe. You can use these for cleaning also, where you put distilled water in it and flush your pens out. Dip this in your ink bottle and inject it directly into the converter. Then you're not having to dip the... It's one way to avoid contaminating your inks, is you're using a clean system to get the ink from the bottle into the pen, rather than dipping a pen, because these dyes go a long way. And just a little bit of this Noodler's Heart of Darkness mixed in with that Legal Blue will ruin the ink. So this one is the Pilot Metropolitan, and it is really low on ink. So what we're going to do is open up this. Now you have to be really careful. It's easy to spill these things, and I'm not doing it on a flat surface like I normally would. So let's try not to make a huge mess here. So what you would do is have that on a stable surface. I've got air in here because I only, well, again, it doesn't matter if I'm contaminating this ink because I transfer it from the big bottle into this one, but I only ever use Heart of Darkness in this. So I'm going to put it down into the bottle. I'm going to push out the ink that's in there and the air that's in there. And then I'm going to twist it a couple times to try to get some ink in it without air. And then I'm going to pull all that ink up into the converter. And you can see I did a pretty good job. No air in that. I'll drop it back down on the napkin, seal this test tube of ink, check my hands and see that I didn't do too terribly. I'm going to hold it down here and come in and clean that section and that nib like so. I don't want ink everywhere when I write. And we'll reassemble the pen. And we'll come over here and we'll say Pilot Metropolitan. I'm writing at a funny angle. This one is a, if I recall right, a medium. I can't see it. Yeah, medium. Medium, and then you do your little thing here. So now that pen's re-inked, and you can see I got it all over my finger. I must have missed some. All right, those pens are inked. That pen is inked. Let's ink the brand new one, the fancy one. Now, I had to look this up. In the previous video, I wasn't sure how to get to this section. This pen case came with what looks like a blue ink and maybe a black ink in converters. So I could stick those in and use them. I'm going to save those. I prefer one. I want to use this as a dedicated color, and the color we're going to use in it, at least to begin with. If we don't like this, we'll switch it. We'll do a thorough cleaning and switch it. This is the Blue Azure by J. Herbin. We're going to do the same filling technique. This one, again, always assume when someone hands you a fancy pen that it is threaded. So you're going to twist, and sure enough, this one comes off with threads. You can also replace these. This one is hard to see in this light. I can't remember what I put this one as. Anyhow, there's little notes on here. It should be fine. It's a fine pen. So this is a fine nib, not extra fine like the J. Herbin, like the Diplomat. Not a medium like the Metropolitan. Now, each pen maker, a medium for a Metropolitan might be the same as a fine for noodlers, and vice versa. Each manufacturer's got their own way of doing it. So this one's threaded. You'll notice this converter is glass. These are the ones I prefer. And in it, this was already in it, so I didn't have to pull it out. This one came with a plastic spacer in there and one black cartridge in the end of it. So this one technically will hold 2 international cartridges. When one runs out, you switch the other. But I put the converter in there because that's how I prefer to operate. So the first thing we're going to do with this one is push all that air out. And we're going to get that all the way down. Now, one thing we could do is pull the converter out and fill the converter directly, but I'm going to go ahead and open up this Blue Azure, and we're going to dip that pen into it. Try not to bottom out. And I'm going to take some air. I'm going to squeeze it a couple times, try to get any air out. And then we're going to suck that ink right up into that converter. We did pretty good. Left a little bit of air. Take our rag, clean that off really well. so that we don't get ink all over our hands. Immediately recap so we don't have a spill. Put the pen back together. Look how pretty that is. Put the pen back together. Remembering that this is a Monteverde. And what was the other word on this one? This is an Invencia. Invencia. It's a fine, and it, whoops, writes like that. So it's a lighter blue, almost highlighter. Look how that flows. You can see as I came down, if I drew a little slower, it put it on a little heavier. Interesting. Now, that's the new pen. What I forgot to say in the other video, that's got a nice weight, nice feel to it, was that those two pens from Goulet also came with some 30 milliliters of, each one came with 30 milliliters of Monteverde Blue Skies. And this is another ink that I'm going to want to try that, let's see, is it sealed? It's sealed in plastic. So, so that's a blue Monteverde ink that we're going to try out. I don't know what the attributes of this one are. I usually look up if the ink is a document ink, and you'll see other ink people smear their ink to show how quickly it dries or whatnot, and different shading. I don't get into all that. I'm just going to write with the pens. So right now, this is what we have. Now, there's something else that I'll share with you that I do. I don't remember who taught me this or where I picked it up, but in the back of this book, I keep my currently inked pens. So I have the date. The very first time I recorded in this one was the February 26th in 2016. It happened to be the Lamy Safari with a blue cartridge. And there's the Pilot Metropolitan was using a cartridge too. And then I got into these American Eels and experiment with different ink colors. I really liked this Pelikan Dark Green ink. I think I now use a different green. This Polar Brown, oh, you can't see it. This Polar Brown was nice. But then what I'll do is I'll get down into here and I'll come in and I'll write down today's date, the pen, what ink is in it, and do the little swishy thing. And that way I always know what's in the pen, and it gives me a reference for when I run out of ink. I can go back and say, what ink did I like? All right, time to get to work.